from a spaceship in outer space, joined by the rodent flying man and the wondrous woman. It's Christian. This is the Pop-O-Holics special DC, officially unlicensed, FanDome weekly upload. And I'm joined, as always, by my two best sidekicks.
The Dark Knight, Chris Conkling.
And Wonder Woman herself, Brian Dupree.
To be clear, it's Dark Knight without a K, and it's Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman. Welcome to a weekly upload. What are we doing here? Well, for our YouTube watchers, welcome. You've reached a special DC FanDome weekly upload news edition. And for our podcast listeners, welcome to another weekly upload whole edition. So to speak. What do we do here? We cover the latest news. Today, we're theming it all around. All the announcements made from DC FanDome. But we got a lot of exciting stuff this week on YouTube. And for our podcast listeners later, we're going to be talking about our experience all seeing the Final Fantasy VII Remake World Tour, the orchestra, and our thoughts.
Thanks to the wonderful and amazing and generous Christian Katie for snagging those tickets for us.
Keep going.
Go on.
So we're gonna recap that in a separate video, but it's gonna be just our quick hits for the regular subscribers of the podcast. You can subscribe to the podcast by going to the video description and following the link tree to your favorite podcast catcher of choice. Or if you're on the main podcast feed and you want to see that video, you want to see our beautiful faces, my wonderful handcrafted background. The orchestration has been done by the great Hans Gruber Zimzims.
Kind of looks like Jim Lee.
Who's that hiding behind you?
That is it's Soups Bro.
Look at that.
Soups Bro for the win. And if you're on the podcast feed, in the description, podcast notes, whatever you call it, you can subscribe on the YouTube to follow us there. And we got all sorts of socials around there. But hey, let's delay no further. Gentlemen, there's a lot to cover. So let's jump into it with Brian's Wacky News Corner Superhero Edition.
Welcome back. So as Christian said, we are largely covering the announcements from DC FanDome that just happened last weekend. I will say up front, we are not going to be able to get to everything that was announced because it is way too much, but we're going to do our best to get through some of what we're looking forward to most, at least. So we're going to start with some movies that have either teaser trailers or behind the scenes stuff announced, starting with Black Adam. So Dwayne Johnson, it has been long announced that he got this role, and we finally got to see a tiny bit of footage from the introduction of his character in the movie, as well as some of the other cast members in the roles that they're going to be playing. So we've got Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate, Aldous Hodge as Hawkman, Quintessa Swindell as Cyclone, and Noah Centineo as Atom Smasher. I will say the actual footage that was shown here was not incredible for me. It was very CG heavy, and his character is clearly ridiculously overpowered. So I'm interested to see how that plays, given the context of the rest of the movie. But I'm very unfamiliar with this character, and Dwayne Johnson is known to make some really watchable movies. So I imagine that there's going to be stuff to like here. Chris, what did you think of this one?
Outside of the footage, we didn't really learn a lot that we didn't know last year during DC FanDome.
Ooh, is this a theme? Is this a theme running through DC FanDome? Ooh.
It might be.
Ooh, listen, I just glazed. I'm the most unresearched here, and I could tell you of what I glazed. Seems to be a theme. Anyway, continue, Chris.
It was just concept art.
There was no footage. It was basically like some small moving concept art with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson talking over it. So I was excited to finally see some actual footage. For me, personally, the most exciting prospect of this film is getting to see some members of the Justice Society of America in this movie. And Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate? That sounds awesome. So I'm very interested to see what the rating for this film is going to be. I'm sure it's not going to crack a PG-13. I mean, Black Adam does electrify a guy into ash.
Turns him, to complete dust.
In the footage that we saw. And while that is violent, there wasn't a lot of blood, so I can't imagine the rating being too mature. But
kids can only be disturbed by guts exploding. If they're vaporized directly into they're directly cremated, we skipped a process. Same if you show the funeral.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited. Like you, Brian, there's really not a ton to go off here. We finally got to see him in costume, which is great. But it's still kind of weird to me that he is yet to interact with Shazam. As The Rock mentioned during this panel, this is a passion project for him that he's been working on for a very long time, which to me, it just screams Rock vehicle. It's just another vehicle for his personal branding.
Chris, in his own words, he was born to play this role.
To play this role.
He's got the confidence locked.
He's got a lot invested in this project. So sure, I'm excited to see it. It's not my most anticipated thing from DC fandom, though.
Yeah, no, that's definitely understandable, and we're still obviously a ways out from that. Christian, of course, do you have any opinions on Black Adam, Dwayne Johnson?
I'm interested to see. The Rock be somebody that he normally isn't. Like normally he's the same dude, and Black Adam really demands that he's a different character. This gave us no indications of how he will portray it, other than definitely more menacing. Like he throws a menacing look. The weird part I found was when he I don't know if he was inviting the audience for feedback or notes, because he was implying hey, you're the main boss, and we're going to change the dynamic of who's in charge in the DC universe, which maybe was Black Adam is going to be in charge, but also was implying let us know how much you like this. Do you want it darker? Do you want it lighter and more what do you want?
I feel
because we're not done with it.
Dangerous messaging in a post Zack Snyder's Justice League world.
100%.
Especially what we know Warner Brothers has done in the past. Yeah, Zack Snyder's Justice League. We all enjoyed that movie to different degrees, but it definitely gave the fans some power that has been unprecedented in Hollywood thus far, and I think The Rock saying that is exceptionally dangerous.
Now listen, DC fans, you're the real villain. I mean, you're the real bosses of this universe, so you tell us what you want. No, I think it's awesome. I love this. I actually would love more input from the fans. Just go full steam into it. Let it go, because then they really differentiate themselves from the MCU, and it's going to be a, Aurora Boreas, or whatever. How can we say that?
It's like a choose-your-own-adventure style of filmmaking.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, as long as they ignore all the horny requests, I think they'll be in safe territory.
I mean, maybe a little of the horny requests.
10%.
Just a couple.
Yeah. Smidge.
Just enough to keep it at the PG-13 without crossing over into the R.
Black Adam in the Flash. The Rock's just I can't catch you, but I want to.
Broke Bat Mountain.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yes. All right, producers, hit us up. So moving on. Aquaman in the Last Kingdom. Aquaman, very contentious movie, but pretty much the biggest DC movie ever, made a ridiculous amount of money. And James Wan, I just love listening to this man talk about movies. He seems so excited about this project, and it makes me excited about it. There's really, he really brought a lot to the last project, and it's something that I have grown very fond of, and definitely will revisit prior to this movie coming out. But here we got some behind the scenes footage, no actual in-movie footage here, but basically just everyone having a good time, a handful of kind of action set piece shots. And this was kind of fun. Looking forward to the next Aquaman movie, seeing Jason Momoa back, his first day on set. Are you guys looking forward to this movie? We really got very little, even less to go off of here than on the last one.
Christian's shaking his head no, that he's not looking forward
Didn't
to this
even watch
movie.
the trailer. You know how I said I don't want to watch
a little bit.
When prepping for this episode, to give you a little behind the pod, Chris and Brian were like, you got to watch some of the trailers. I was like, well, I know which movies I want to see and which I don't. And I bit my pride a bit. I watched some of these trailers. I skipped this one because I was halfway through the Aquaman movie. I'm like, this isn't for me. I'm glad people like it. It's just so goofy. So, I mean, if people say it's good, I'll go see it, but I don't think I'll finish the first one. But I'm happy it's being made. I'm glad it's definitely different. It's fun in a different way than the MCU. So I'm not a hater. It's just not my cup of tea. Chris, what do you think?
We all know how I feel about the first Aquaman movie.
Your favorite DC movie, ranked number 1. It's actually ranked 1 and 2, which I told you was cheating, but
top of the top.
If it was reverse day and we switched the order in which the movies are being ranked, I think it's the worst DCEU movie, but Brian loves it.
Preposterous take.
Brian loves
what
it.
kind of day would be Reverse Day? What a silly concept. It's almost as silly as
This movie
Aquaman.
is above the original Suicide Squad movie. This is what you're telling our
I'd agree with that. I would have walked out of the Suicide Squad if Jared Leto.
Let's be real here.
Jared Leto was magnetic in the worst way. So I would have walked out of the theater, but I watched Aquaman from the comfort of my home. And
It was just his teeth that were magnetic.
Easily, like, one of the few things in life where I'm like, you know what? Sleep is better.
Oof, that's rough.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I understand that sentiment. I will say, though, watching DC fandom, having seen Zack Snyder's Justice League and enjoying that movie, something strange has happened in my brain. I know Warner Brothers has said, like, Zack Snyder's Justice League is not continuity, and we will not be moving forward with anything that you've seen in that film in terms of, like, making more movies with this character. So don't expect to see the same type of characters as they were portrayed in Zack Snyder's Justice League. But having seen that movie now, there's a part of my brain that, like, gets tricked for a moment where it's like, oh man, and Aquaman 2? Like, yes, I do. Based on what I just saw in Zack Snyder's Justice League, I do want to see an Aquaman 2. And then I realize, oh wait, this is a sequel to the movie that I absolutely despised. I guess I'll see what the reviews are like when it gets released and then go from there. I'm willing to go see it. I just, I need a push from maybe some film pundits that get to see it prior to me, to invest that dinero, you know?
I'm ready for you to come around on this like you came around on Venom. It's just a matter of time. This when this week, by the time
I'm
this
a
week comes
complicated
out,
man, Brian.
you're going to be a fan. No, it's understandable. So yeah, that's
we're waiting until the end of Aquaman when it's revealed that he's also going to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
He's breaking through. He's making big moves this movie.
Can't wait.
It's in the post-credit scene.
It's in the post-credit scene. You gotta look at all those visual effects artists first.
So that's Aquaman in the Lost Kingdom. Some behind-the-scenes footage that we got. We also got a teaser trailer for The Flash. Andy Muschietti's directing Ezra Miller in the Flash movie. So there have been some casting announcements and talk about this prior, but we got a view from behind of a Batman here, as well as an implied reveal of a Batmobile that we don't know which one.
And some voiceover from Michael Keaton as well.
Okay, I didn't know if we wanted to. Okay, yep. So we did get that as well. Got a new suit for the Flash as well, I believe. That looked pretty awesome.
I love myself some costumes.
Hey,
he said so convincingly.
This is what we come to the FanDome for. We come to FanDome for, like,
honestly,
new costumes,
boots.
It's kind of true.
Boots. They revealed
the boots
boots.
Are another thing that we're not going to talk about. But yes, the boots are coming to the TV show as well. Finally, season 7 or 8 of that. But yeah, are you guys fans of Ezra Miller as the Flash? Are you looking forward to this movie? Obviously, the crossover stuff happening here is going to make this movie worthwhile watching. Either way, probably. But what do you think of this footage?
So, Brian, going back to the point that I just mentioned, which is Zack Snyder's Justice League has done something to my brain where I forget, that this isn't necessarily a sequel to that movie, but instead a sequel to Justice League, which Christian loves me calling that 2017 version of Justice League. I have to say, though, I'm excited for Andy Muschietti to direct a superhero movie. I loved both of his It films. The way in which this footage was colored did kind of remind me of a little bit about how he colored It. So he definitely has a certain style. Christian, I don't know did you watch the trailer, Christian?
I don't know. Because
I'm going to ask you to earmuffs if you didn't.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Seeing 2 Ezra Millers in the footage was really interesting. Being familiar with Flashpoint, that's not necessarily something that takes place within that comic book run, but it'll be interesting to see possibly 2 different Flashes. I'm a fan of the costume. So yeah, this was one of the more exciting reveals for me personally over the whole DC fandom.
Yeah, I definitely didn't see the trailer. I heard the first part of that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You were laughing. I figured you had, but yes, that was the Flash teaser trailer that does give away some spoilers for the movie, to be fair.
God, I love teasers that spoil parts of like surprise.
These are things that had already been publicly talked about, but yeah, if you're not following this stuff super closely, yeah, no, I get it for sure.
I will say this, but again, to my point that like, are these sequels to Zack Snyder's Justice League? When Michael Keaton is talking in that teaser, he is directly quoting phrases from Zack Snyder's Justice League that the Flash says. What is it? Build your future, build your past, something along those lines. Talking about the future and the past. Like that was something that was only mentioned in Zack Snyder's Justice League. So
we don't know. Do you want that? Do you want that? Because these movies aren't done yet. So if you want that, then you let us know at the DCU. We'd love to.
Email Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He'll forward it to Warner Brothers, and the fans will continue to drive production in terms of DC content.
I think it's a good plan.
So moving on to some another movie. This one is actually based on, well, originally it was a video game, Injustice, and then there was a comic by Tom Taylor called Injustice Year One that this is going to be more directly based off of. But this is going to be an animated DC movie. I guess is out now on digital, I believe, and possibly 4K as well. So this is kind of an alternate take on our superheroes. We see Superman with a 5 o'clock shadow, which is something that I had never seen Superman with before. He is looking quite rugged, and he's pretty much he's gone through trauma, lost people, and is fed up with the world. So he and Wonder Woman are looking to cause trouble. Basically, they're fed up with it and they want vengeance, and end up going against Batman. So this is a take superhero against superhero. I never played the campaign mode of this video game, but I did play a decent bit of it that friends had. It's an awesome fighter game. I'm not sure. I think people like the story. Did either of you guys ever play through this game? And would you be interested in seeing an animated movie?
So I believe Christian played through both. I played through the first one. It's mostly a Mortal Kombat clone.
Mm-hmm. It's made by, to be clear, it was made by the same
studio. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Christian, I'm really interested to hear your take on this.
I mean, as far as the DCU animated, it's not my thing. It's almost like this is the way that you would enjoy the story, and I already enjoyed the story the way that I would enjoy the story. And it's actually, for a fighter, it's one of the better stories I've played in any fighter ever. It's really enjoyable. Throws you right into the action. It has to do with like different dimensions too. So you get like evil Flash and good Flash, and they get to fight each other and all this stuff, and you can mix and match all the stuff. It was really fun. And actually, the relationship between the Joker, Superman, Batman, Lois Lane, all that stuff's super interesting, and they play with that a lot in the second one especially. So yeah, no, it was very enjoyable. It was one of my, I'm not a huge DC fan, I'll be straight up, even though I'm chilling with the winged rat guy and wondrous lady over there. I'm not the DCU person, so this was a pleasant surprise for a storyline. I actually it was invested and wanted to complete the campaign. So if you haven't played the game and this tells a very similar story or something that's based on it, it could be really cool.
I will say this. This is the third time that this story has been adapted. You had the original video game, which, as Christian just mentioned, we got to play out the campaign to reveal the storyline. Then it was adapted into a comic book series, and now it's being adapted into an animated feature. And I have to say, it just seems to get more truncated every time, and I have zero interest in watching this movie.
Oh, wow.
Like, DC animated movies are, I've reviewed a couple of them here on the podcast. They tend to be hit or miss, and I just have no interest in kind of reliving this story again through an animated medium.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. You said you were in Zack Snyder.
Book,
you were in Zack Snyder earlier, so we got him back. He's actually he's a character. Zack Snyder.
Who?
He's a character. Zack Snyder. He's a character now.
Oh, Zack Snyder himself is a character.
I know we're about to publish it to the streaming services, but we just changed it. We just updated it. Zack Snyder's in it, and he's there. So are you interested now?
No, not really.
Okay, so it's been delayed. It's been delayed to next year. We're taking any feedback.
Make it work.
We'll make it work.
Brian, are you interested in watching this movie? I know that you've seen a couple of the animated DC films.
I have. I feel like if I hear that it's good, I'll probably check it out. It's not something that I'm going to be rushing out to see. Like I said, I did have fun playing the fighter game, but I never read the comics, so I don't have any significant attachment to the story really. So yeah, that was the Injustice teaser trailer that was released. All right, the big one, where this is a real trailer, the Batman, the official big trailer coming out March 4th, 2022, directed by Matt Reeves, starring Robert Pattinson and many others. Christian, you may want to sit out for this one. We have multiple villains revealed. We have action happening. So yeah.
Before we get into it, I'm going to see this movie. Batman's cool. It seems like they really, DC's like, remember, we have Batman all the time. Looks kind of like that person up there. And that seems to be a big theme. This was the big heavy hitter that they closed the shot with, from what I understand. I'm very excited. This is not I literally just want to watch the movie, so I don't need to see anything else because I like Matt Reeves. I like everything happening. I saw the first teaser. I don't need to see this. But have fun. I guess this is, if you're the kind of person that's watching this, you're into what they're about to talk about, but that's just not me, baby. So we'll try and be quick.
So I'll just say quickly, we get an insane Batmobile moment towards the end of the trailer that just looks fucking awesome.
Fucking awesome.
Yes, just out of an explosion. Amazing. A bunch of cool stuff with Catwoman that I'm not sure we had seen her in costume and stuff yet.
Only a little bit, briefly in that teaser.
Okay, we got a bunch of her in this one. It seems to be almost a blending of the former eras of Batman. I got a little bit of Burton and a little bit of Nolan vibes in terms of set design, as well as just tonally, like how the movie looks, the color patterns and stuff. One thing, I'm not sure how I feel about Pattinson's Batman voice yet. I'm interested to see how it plays in the movie itself. But let's get your quick takes on it, Chris.
I'm so excited about this movie, Brian. I mean, that first teaser that we got last year gave off very like Seven-esque vibes. This teaser kind of continued with this dark lighting and mood, and this promised to be a more detective noir Batman, which we've never gotten in cinema before. They always seem to leave out this world's greatest detective aspect to the Batman character, and just the fact that it takes place in the second year of Bruce Wayne being Batman. He's still riding the line between Bruce Wayne and Batman. In fact, during the panel, Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves even spoke a little bit about how this Bruce Wayne is still trying to figure out, like I said, where that line is drawn. So a lot of Batman's emotions in this film are going to end up crossing over into Bruce Wayne's personality. He's still not quite capable of keeping up that Bruce Wayne mask because he's so full of rage and vengeance. Even in the trailer, he says, "I am vengeance." And, oh man, I'm just so excited. Colin Farrell.
Different context for that line too. If it shows it, I don't know if it's just editing tricks, but the first trailer we got the "I am vengeance" line, but I think here we got Catwoman asking him.
She asks, "Who are you?" And then we get that same "I am vengeance" line from that first teaser. Definitely some editing tricks taking place, without a doubt. Colin Farrell looks like he's going to be a treat as the fucking Penguin. Like, you can't even under all the prosthetics, you can't even recognize that it's him. But from his past roles, he has this like kind of chaotic, angry energy to him, and I'm really excited to see him bring that to the Penguin. Paul Dano right now is this like weird, silent, meticulous Riddler. We still haven't gotten to see his face. They have revealed a little bit about like what one of his masks look like in stills and action figures and stuff like that. But I'm very interested to see if we get a more comic book accurate Riddler costume by the end. We'll see. This is definitely, without a doubt, the most exciting thing to come out of DC fandom. Warner Brothers knew that as well because they refused to show any of footage from this movie until the very end, obviously knowing that people would bail as soon as they saw anything from the Batman. Right. So they withheld it until the very end of the presentation. But yeah,
this was,
could not be more
Zoe
exciting.
Kravitz playing Catwoman as well.
Selena Kyle.
Shout her out as well. Yeah. So yeah, that was the Batman teaser. Just giving Christian the thumbs up to come back.
Man, when the Joker popped up at the end of the trailer, I couldn't believe it.
Funny.
That didn't happen.
No, he's trolling. All right, Christian,
joke.
we're moving into your ballpark here, your wheelhouse. We're going into some video games. So we still have not gotten any gameplay for this, but we did get
anything,
the story trailer.
For either of the, because there's 2 games and there's no gameplay. So
I think they showed a little bit of gameplay for Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, didn't they?
I don't think any of that was in
man,
game
I'll have to
stuff.
go back and look at it again.
So yeah, this is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Basically, the concept of this is due to plot reasons, the Justice League has turned against humanity or against they've turned bad, basically.
I think they've already said it's Brainiac. I think Brainiac has taken control of the Justice League and is using them as like weapons.
That was in the one from last year.
Yeah.
So yeah, due to Brainiac, a few members of the Suicide Squad have to save the day. And that is the basic conceit of this game. As we said, there's very little known about the actual gameplay for this, but how do you guys feel? Are you excited for this one?
Christian?
I have nothing new to add since the last we talked about this last DC fandom. Rocksteady is a great developer.
Yeah.
They made the Batman Arkham trilogy and subsequent, I think there's another expansion or something. And they're great. They're great game developers. You know, we praise Spider-Man for the PS4 and PS5 and Miles Morales and all that shit. And that game doesn't exist without the Batman Arkham because they defined what this type of open world, open city superhero thing looks like. So I'm just as excited. I would say we got a lot more character models that looks like it's in engine, but I don't even think they specified that. It looks great. I love the character design. You get an idea for what kind of baddies you're going to be facing off against, but it seems like Avengers, but I trust it way more than Avengers because it is this co-op thing. So it could be a good version of kind of what we've seen with the PS4, PS5, Xbox version of the Avengers, but probably better. I'm just as hyped. I'm going to play it. Sounds great, but there was no gameplay. So I have no idea how the hell Captain Boomerang controls, but it sounds delightful that he's going to control, and that would be interesting to see what it looks like to play Captain Boomerang, but we didn't see that, so... Yep, whatever, same thing. Chris?
I agree with a lot of what you said. I really want to see some gameplay. If I remember correctly from last year's DC fandom, they did reveal that this is almost going to be kind of like a shooter. I remember us talking about it being not completely akin to, but one of my worries was that it was going to be a lot like Fortnite, which is a game that I don't really play. You know,
That's
but it's
right.
super
and then
popular.
I yelled at you because Fortnite and this game are probably going to be very not alike.
That'd be great. I would love that. I have to say, though, with the footage that they showed, even though it isn't gameplay footage, and from what we've learned from Midnight Suns, gameplay footage is very important when it comes to learning whether or not you're going to like a game or not. Right now, I'm leaning toward wanting to buy this game. Like Christian said, it's made by Rocksteady. They have a fantastic track record. I love all the Arkham games. And even just considering that this game takes place in the canon of those Arkham games gets me excited to play it. So I'm ready. What was the release? 2023, I think they said?
2022. It still has
2022 okay. Still. Okay. Cool. So next year.
Potentially.
Probably late next year.
Yeah. Since there's no gameplay yet.
The last week of December next year.
Possibly pushed out. But so that's Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And another game that's scheduled to come out next year is Gotham Knights. So I thought there had been some gameplay released from this previously.
Last DC fandom.
Yes, okay, but we didn't get any new gameplay this time. We just got a new trailer, the story trailer, and introduction to the new villain, the Court of Owls, which is from an arc that I've heard great things about. Chris, you've told me I need to read it, and I still plan to. I have it digitally. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But the Court of Owls seems like a fun and interesting villain for this game. And I am not super familiar with the gameplay, but it's a new Batman game, so I got to imagine that people are hyped for this one. Christian, have you seen the original gameplay from last year?
Yeah.
And how do you feel about
Here's
this?
what's confusing is this game seems exactly like the last one, which is so weird because it's like an offshoot of Rocksteady. Like, I think they're using the same engine as the Arkham games, whereas in Suicide Squad, what the difference is and the reason it might be more shooter-esque is I think they're not using the same engine, or if they are, they're tweaking it quite a bit. This seems like the more safe bet, which makes sense because it's in a smaller wing of WB Studios.
Is it
Montreal?
WB Montreal?
Yeah. And so what I imagine is they're taking the engine, and this is going to be a lot more rudimentary, a lot more like what you expect from Arkham, but add multiplayer. I think that's the angle they're taking with, whereas Suicide Squad is probably going to be a little more different as far as how the mechanics work. I'm less excited for this one because it seems like they're taking less chances, but if you want to run around as Nightwing or whatever, and the other Red Hood and Batgirl, whatever, and do the Batman thing, that sounds good. I'm less excited about this just because it seems like they're building on known quantities. It's so weird, though. This is also slated for 2022. I get it from like a financial standpoint, like they're kind of in like they're in the same universe, right? This one's more a safe bet, I think. It's like, you want more Arkham, we got it, play it with your friends. Whereas Suicide Squad's like, here's maybe something where we're trying something different. Chris.
Yeah, I'm a little more neutral to this. I'm still on the fence about whether or not I actually want to get this game. Last year when we talked about this game, we were talking about it's so strange that the game is kind of using a lot of plot elements from the end of Arkham Knight, but it's not within the same canon as Arkham Knight. It's a very confusing thing. Loyal viewers and listeners will know I'm all about lore and plot and world building. And if it did take place in the same universe as the Arkham games, I am excited about the new Suicide Squad game. I think I would be more apt to immediately say, like, this is a must buy, but there are a lot of things that we saw from the gameplay elements last year that I'm like, I don't know if I really want to invest the time into this game. But we'll see as we get closer to the release of the game. We get to see a more polished product, get to see more gameplay as to whether or not this is something that I will end up getting. But as of right now, I'm kind of on the fence, to be perfectly honest. As you mentioned, though, Brian, the Court of Owls is an awesome group of Batman villains. So if anything, I'm sure just those characters will draw a lot of people to the game. So super smart move on WB Montreal's part there.
Yeah. So that is Gotham Knights. That'll be out sometime next year. All right. Last announcement proper that we're going to be talking about is the new Peacemaker trailer. So starring John Cena, this is a show that's coming to HBO Max January 13th, 2022. So relatively soon. James Gunn writing and directing this, coming off of The Suicide Squad. I didn't know what to expect from this character, or from this show. The character is, although funny, not particularly likable in The Suicide Squad. And I think this show makes the smart decision to kind of make this an examination of his very particular brand of masculinity and
he kind of seems to
from.
be the dumbest person in the show.
Yeah. He seems like he's the butt of the jokes, which I think is the way that this would work.
I dig it.
Honestly. Yeah. It looks completely ridiculous, but in a fun way. And yeah, I don't know. What do you think of this trailer, Chris?
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Like you said, James Gunn is still involved with, I think he's a producer on the show.
Okay, yeah.
So it's still going to be his sensibilities within the show, I think. They're really drawing on the same comedic stylings of the Suicide Squad. There are a lot of ridiculous moments in this trailer that I'm excited to see in the full show. They apparently, I'm not super familiar with the Peacemaker character from the comic books, but there's he's like a pet bald eagle or something. That seems absolutely ridiculous to me.
Which is in the trailer as well.
It is in the trailer, yeah. He definitely sounds like he has some daddy issues. They're going to focus on that a little bit in the show. But I really do like this take that he's kind of the dumbest person in the show, despite him being so skillful as an assassin. So I think it'll be a funny, enjoyable show.
There's a bit about butt babies, and I think that says everything you need to know about the tone of the show.
Right,
so,
right.
That's Peacemaker. That'll be out.
I did watch this
January.
trailer. I know you're assuming I didn't watch the trailer. I watched it.
Oh, you watched it? Okay.
Yeah, I stopped watching it halfway
What did you
through
think?
because I said, yeah, I'll see this show because it's going to be on HBO Max.
Sold.
And it's directed
There you
and
go.
written by James Gunn, and it looked like a ton of fun. Steve Agee reprising his role as I guess he has a character name, but he's just like Suicide Squad Task Force tech person.
Part under Amanda Waller in some capacity.
Yes, and
tasked
I also
with babysitting Peacemaker.
I also want to shout out Robert Patrick, who you may know as the Terminator T-9000. Liquid Metal dude. He's popping up.
Is he playing the?
He's playing the father.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wow.
Pretty exciting stuff.
Him
So excited to see him back in it. This looks like a ton of fun. It looks perfect. I love me John Cena. I think he's perfect comedic actor.
I agree.
I've said that multiple times. Cock blockers, I believe was my favorite.
Blockers.
Yes, Cock Blockers. I believe my favorite movie of 2017 or 2018.
2018. It was 2018.
Yeah, I haven't seen it again since. If that gives you any idea of my level of care and thought that goes into any of those decisions. But I'm so excited. Yeah, give me more funny John Cena. He was amazing on Suicide Squad. Super entertaining. He's magnetic. Might be the most electrifying man in Hollywood. I don't know. We'll see.
He's not as electrifying as Black Adam. I can tell you that.
Heyo.
I'm sorry. So to wrap up the news section proper, Chris, do you have any highlights? What you're most excited for? Anything that we didn't have time to get to that you're looking forward to? I have a couple that I'll mention after you go.
Yeah, real quickly, I just want to bring some attention to two shows that they announced during the presentation. First and foremost, randomly, out of nowhere, they're like, oh yeah, and by the way, Young Justice Phantoms, season 4 of Young Justice. The first 2 episodes are now streaming on HBO Max. So go enjoy that. From this point forward, it's going to be airing every Thursday. I'm not sure how many episodes the season's going to have. Typically, they run at around 26. So possibly for the next 24 weeks, we'll be getting new episodes of Young Justice every Thursday. I have watched those first 2 episodes. They're pretty good. I'm excited to be watching the show again. So if you're a fan of that show, go ahead and check that out. It's now available. But even more so than that, I want to bring attention to Batman the Caped Crusader, which we got announced last year, being produced by J.J. Abrams, Matt Reeves, and Bruce Timm, the creator of the original Batman the Animated Series show, which basically is my Batman. You know, that's the Batman that I grew up with as a child. I didn't grow up as that Batman.
You wish.
Did you just reveal something here, Chris?
But the way they were talking about that show, we got a little bit more details about what it's going to be like. Bruce Timm especially says he's really excited to go back to the character because he feels like he's in the 90s again, with WB telling him, do what you want to do. Except this time, because the show is going to be on HBO Max, he can make the show a little more adult. So they are really going to lean into the darker themes of the Batman character. He said it's still going to take place in that 1940s, but not 1940s-esque era that Batman the Animated Series took place in. It's akin to that show, but not within continuity for that show. But regardless, I love Bruce Timm as a creator, and I'm very excited that he's coming back to this character, and I absolutely cannot wait to see this show. I think it's going to be very cool, especially with, J.J. Abrams is kind of hit or miss for me, but you got J.J. Abrams, who's great at starting stories, Matt Reeves, who's currently involved in the Batman franchise. I think this show is going to be a home run, so I hope it's good.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that one as well. Another Batman that I'm looking forward to is something that we've talked about on the podcast as well, coming from David S. Goyer, Batman Unburied, a narrative podcast that they're doing, and they did a handful of casting announcements for
this
that.
This is with Winston Duke as Batman, correct? Or Bruce Wayne?
Yep, I believe so. That was the first announcement that came out. I think it had been a couple months ago at this point.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
News. But yeah, so definitely looking forward to that. The other one that I'm looking forward to is there's a handful of movies, DC animated shorts collection that's coming out with a new Constantine short with Matt Ryan reprising his role as Constantine, which is super exciting. I'm looking forward to that one, as well as a new Teen Titans Go crossover movie with the DC superhero girls. I've talked about it before, but Teen Titans Go to the movies was one of my favorite movies the year that it came out. I was really surprised by that one. So yeah, that's another that I'm definitely looking forward to.
We have failed to mention the Justice League Super Pets. And,
which is a movie.
Dwayne Johnson property.
Yeah, Dwayne The Rock Johnson as oh my God, my brain is totally Crypto the super dog.
Crypto, that's right.
And Kevin Hart as Ace the Bat Hound, along with a more star-studded cast as well. I can't remember everybody that's in it at this moment, but there are a ton of people in this movie.
So studded with
everyone.
Yeah. Christian, this is what you're most excited for?
100%. I can't believe we didn't mention it. No,
I apologize.
Give me that new Batman. I want it now. I want to go see it. I don't want to watch any more trailers. Just let me watch the movie. It sounds really good.
Soon. March. We just have to wait until March.
And, the Suicide Squad game. Rocksteady has made some of the best superhero video games ever, and they're tackling something like the Suicide Squad, and they're entering multiplayer, which they haven't tried before. And it seems to be the next evolution in what they're capable of. So this seems really tight. So as much as we didn't get much more on it, we got a more look into the scenery and environments and story and stuff. But I'm playing that. I'm definitely going to play that game. So very excited.
So yeah, that is our giant DC FanDome wrap up. Definitely go ahead and check out all those trailers that we talked about and more. A bunch of cool comics that were announced as well. Moving into some stuff that's coming out this week. If you are watching the video of this, then as of today, Curb Your Enthusiasm Season 11 will be out on HBO Max. This is the 24th Sunday. The first episode comes out. This show has been running on HBO since October of 2000, which seems insane. I have not seen this from front to back, but I have watched probably the latest 2 or 3 seasons. This show, for those of you who don't know, Larry David is playing an exaggerated version of himself, and the show is loosely plotted and then largely improvised. So it just goes to ridiculous places and consists of Larry David doing his observational comedy thing and just being a general asshole to everyone, a petty, petty asshole. And I feel like you either love this show or you don't. It's a certain type of comedy, but I'm really looking forward to Larry David coming back in a COVID world and the frustrations that I'm sure he has to air out on HBO now. So another TV show that's coming to Prime Video this Friday is called Fairfax. So this follows 4 middle school best friends on their never-ending quest for clout on Fairfax Avenue in Los Angeles, the pulsing heart of hype beast culture. This is another animated show geared towards adults, focused around children. This is a trend that's happening a lot in the last few years, it seems. I'm not sure if this show is really for me. The trailer looked funny enough. I'm not really into the culture that it's really making fun of. So I'm not, I imagine that people who are more into it would probably, this is more for them. But yeah, this is coming to Prime Video this Friday. All right. Moving into some movies that are coming out this week. One that I have been eagerly anticipating is written and directed by Edgar Wright, co-written with Christy Wilson Cairns, from a story by Edgar Wright, is Last Night in Soho. So this stars Thomasin McKenzie, Anya Taylor-Joy, Matt Smith, and Terrence Stamp. And I'm not going to say very much at all about this movie. I watched the first trailer, tried to avoid the second trailer, found out more than I wanted to, was reading the wiki in preparation for this, found out even more than I wanted to.
That's a shame.
Probably spoiler stuff, but really looking forward to this one. And it'll be out in theaters this Friday. That's Last Night in Soho.
I will say something without spoiling it.
Yeah.
The premise seems really interesting. And this is territory that I personally have never seen Edgar Wright move into. I mean, he's done things similar to this, but not like fully in this genre, I think. So I'm also very excited to see this movie.
Yeah, so just generally, it is kind of a psychological horror film that's centered around the London fashion scene in some sense, just very generally.
You went even more specific than I did, Brian.
I'm sorry, maybe that's too much. I
was using the terms like genre and like undefined. Let the viewers figure it out.
But yeah, this is probably going to be worthwhile, especially if you're a fan of Edgar Wright's other work, Last Night in Soho. Something else coming to theaters. This is Antlers. So this is directed by Scott Cooper and follows a school teacher and her police officer brother in a small Oregon town where they become convinced one of her students is harboring a supernatural creature. So this stars Kerry Russell, Jesse Plemons, Jeremy Thomas, Graham Greene, and many others. And the screenplay was adapted from a short story called The Quiet Boy by Nick Antosca, who also co-wrote the screenplay with a couple of other people. this is sort of movie where it's spooky season. I'm not sure this movie is going to be incredible, but if you're looking for some fun genre scares and cool creature designs, I think you're probably going to have a good time with Antlers. That'll be out in theaters this Friday. Lastly, on the movies front, we have very quick turnaround here. Shout out to Netflix for this, but the sequel to what was the original one called? Army of the Dead, the Zack Snyder movie that he did for Netflix. Army of Thieves is going to be out this Friday on Netflix. So it's a prequel to Army of the Dead and follows a mysterious woman who recruits bank teller Dieter, who this character is played by Matthias Schweighofer. I apologize about pronunciation there. He also directs this movie. But he's a bank teller who has to assist in a heist of impossible to crack safes across Europe. So it's a heist movie, which I believe the original movie was also a heist movie. But
Army of the Dead was also a heist movie.
Zombie heist movie.
Zombie heist. So this is going.
Which this is also based on the trailer, like kind of a zombie heist movie, but not really.
Yeah, in that same vein for sure. But I think that got Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead got pretty good reviews from people on Netflix. I heard people enjoyed that one. So this is an easy pickup if you enjoyed that, I think.
Netflix is really leaning into this, and they're trying to make it a franchise. So I think this is just the first of the pieces of content that are going to come out within this universe. So it's pretty exciting.
So stay tuned for the Army of Thieves pinball machine coming out next holiday season. All right. Last but not least.
That's what all these franchises are doing. They're just in the pinball game. That's where the action's really at.
I've heard that the pinball game is actually canon to the overall story of this cinematic universe. So
Army of the Paddle Shifters.
Don't miss out on it.
Yeah. The post-credit scene, once you beat it, is just really what it's all there for.
Balls to the walls, says journalist.
Yes, nice callback. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is coming out to all of the consoles. We've got Windows, Switch, PS4 and 5, Xbox One, as well as the X and S, and GeForce Now.
Just to be clear, Switch is the cloud version. You have to play it on an internet connection, and it plays via the cloud. Just heads up. The GeForce Now.
It's going to be awful.
GeForce Now is the same as like Stadia and stuff. But yes, those are all the platforms. But the new Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Tuesday, this comes out. Christian.
Are you picking it up?
No, I can't. That's like irresponsible if I do that. There is some. I can't. I will. I'll let you know.
Okay. Christian will be talking about this next week. He'll have played about 40 hours by then and be hating himself for it.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to play it. I don't want to play it. I'm not going to do it.
But I mean, I can tell that you really do want to play it deep down.
Here's the biggest part. Actually, I could play it because I do have Game Pass through my Backbone controller. I have a Backbone controller that can cloud stream it. But I could also do that on the Switch. We know the Switch is the superior console for any of that activity. So I don't know. No, I
want to play this game on the
Christian
Switch.
has never said.
Part of me is like,
console.
I already have Game Pass because it came for free. Part of me is like, that Xbox Series S, the smaller one, is $300, and I'm like, $60. I'm like a third of the way, almost. I'm like a fifth of the way to the. What if I just bought the Series S? So I'm gonna end up spending $300 to play this game. Anyway, Brian, continue.
Yeah. So, in this game, you play as Peter Quill and Star-Lord from a third-person perspective, and you're able to team up with other people but not control them. So you're with Gamora, Rocket Raccoon, Groot, and Drax the Destroyer, who are AI and assist you. I don't know too much else about the plot of this
Apparently,
game.
the game is also decision-based, where you have to make different choices throughout the game, and that influences how the story unfolds, which is kind of interesting.
Dialogue trees.
I'm just glad, though, that it's Star-Lord and not like a character that you could, create.
I know.
Or
you
customize.
Could change his hair. How terrible would that be?
I hate being able
What
to
an awful
put my
game mechanic
own,
that is.
Like, personality into stuff. I just want Star-Lord. I want off-brand, what's his Mario? What's his name? I know him mostly
Luigi?
as Mario. now.
Wario?
But he
Wario?
played Star-Lord in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I know him mostly as Mario. What's his name? Raptor dude. Also Mario.
Oh, Chris Pratt?
Yeah, off-brand Chris Pratt. Sorry, I just know him so much from the Mario movie that it's hard for me to get that mustache out of my head.
It took so long for Brian and I to make that connection.
That authentic
Yeah,
Italian accent out of my head. No, I think the hardest thing to get over is this is not Chris Pratt. And for those Chris Pratt haters, of which I know there are quite a few, watch the trailer for this and go like, I miss Chris Pratt. So that's going to be not that the voice actor's doing a horrible job. I don't know this person's name, but I'm sure they're lovely. It's not that it's even bad. It's just that, man, Chris Pratt is very perfect as Star-Lord. Like, he embodies that character so well. That's hard to get over. It looks well done. It looks like it's made well. The gameplay seems like it has good like upgrade paths, and although you're not controlling Gamora or Drax or anything, you are like commanding them, and they have a variety of special moves that you can pull up in like a wheel. So you basically tell them what to do, and there's combos, there's team up moves, and it seems to have a lot of the humor that the series is known for. So that's all cool. I don't like Rocket Raccoon's weird beard thing. He's got like a long braided beard, and I don't love it. It's weird, and I hope I can change it. If there was a character modifier for Rocket Raccoon, I would remove that. The second I find an outfit in which I could remove that disgusting gray rat tail hanging from his chin, I'm going to, because it disturbs me. It's really dangly.
So yeah, that's Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. That'll be out this Tuesday for pretty much all the consoles, some of which are cloud only. And that's it for the news this week, guys.
Thanks, Brian. How do you all pod with me? I don't get it. I don't know how we.
I was gonna go somewhere with the dangly bit, but I decided to let it hang there.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for the weekly upload Wacky News YouTube portion. Gentlemen, where can people find more of your work on the internet?
Viewers and listeners, you can find me on Twitter at Chris Conkling, talking about all things nerdy, comic books, television, movies, video games, collectibles. If it's nerdy, I'm talking about it.
You can find me over on Twitter at True Pop-O-Holic, making insane Citizen Kane jokes that only Chris liked. But I appreciated that.
It was really good. It was honestly, a good Citizen Kane
joke. It came
joke.
in two parts, and yeah, definitely worth it. I appreciated the love, though.
No, it was great. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, there's also lots of daddy jokes.
You know me.
So you can also find my band at Midnight Satire. It's a band that makes music. It's sad music, but fun. Positive NDA streaming now. And please, if you're watching on the YouTube feed, please subscribe to the podcatcher to hear our thoughts, our quick hits, and our community feedback section in our future videos. But we do have a special video coming out in the following days that's going to be a little look at our experience going to see the Final Fantasy VII Remake Orchestral World Tour, which is going to be super exciting. This is such a fun event to be a part of. So all that and more, come catch us then, YouTube listeners / watchers. Bye.